can actually wipe the enemy team. So his just overall awareness of what's happening around him is just so unique in China. It's so good.
Here comes the Infernal Shrines, picked up by TheOne. This is the map they really like taking teams to. And that's not just due to the fact that basically every single hero that Hugo likes playing is really good on this map.
Yes, that is correct. You give him the Thrall, perfectly viable here. You give him the Sonya, just fine with me. Even Leoric and Illidan, they're good here.
Malthael, Illidan, everything works here. It's awesome.
I wonder what Hugo's reaction was when he saw the A team, right, succeeding multiple times with Illidan. Maybe he was like, rubbing his chin already and asking his teammates carefully, could we bring that back as well?
I mean, they've already brought it back at Mid-Season Brawl, for example. They can still play it. They're more than happy to if the situation requires it. Perhaps stealing an RPG draft, going for that Hunt Hinterland Blast. It's still viable.
That is correct. Already we see the Maiev being banned out immediately, and I think, like, normally I'm not that happy about, you know, so much focus and weight being put onto banning Maiev all the time, but against SPT, I think that is actually a perfect, legit way of dealing with things, because we have seen soap on that Maiev in the past, and we have seen SPT ending games in less than 10 minutes, right? When they had this wombo combo Bloodlust style with the Maiev, so yeah, it's a good thing to get that out of the way.
And there goes the Phoenix. We've already seen how effective this can be on every map, quite frankly, but banning out that full combo, SPT not wanting to deal with either of them here.
That is correct. All right, Phoenix taken out of the equation. Are we going to see another DPS ban? Another assassin ban maybe against heroes like Raynor? Maybe Genji? Genji needs to be banned. There we go. I was going to say, you don't want to give that one over to Melody C.
That one gets removed. Immediate Hanzo comes in. One Shimada down. SPT grab the other. The Dragon Arrow. It could have got the turnaround if it hadn't been for that very lucky Shadow Charge for Hehe. Blocking it from a very close range, so it's a super short distance stun, and the entire backline was left full sustain.
All right, Alex Strasser secured for this man on the webcam right now, ZJZ. Probably the most unique glasses I've ever seen. Looking absolutely amazing. We see the Alex Strasser coming in here, a dominant hero on Infernal Shrines. We all know that by now. And Murden secured by Hehe. And if you thought Hehe's Diablo was top-notch, just wait until you get to see him on the Murden, which I find him even more lethal on, to be honest.
I would... it's pretty close. I mean, He's pretty great on everything, so no issues there. Leoric picked up pre-Yrel?
Oh, yeah.
Very interesting.
They pick it instead of Yrel, as you said. Didn't look good last game, but still such a powerful pick. And they pick it even before the Blaze, which worked so well for SPT against CE.
Does this not lead us into, like, a range solo laner, like a Junkrat for TheOne? Is that not the course of action here?
It could be a Junkrat. Meng plays a really deadly Junkrat, actually, if you think about it, and you want to keep the Leoric at bay. They take away the Johanna here. Looks like they do not want to follow CE's footsteps here. And the Sonya now taken away from Hugo. A little bit of a specialized, unique ban against him. Hugo, we see him on the webcam right now.
That's a fair shout. So, it's almost like SPT are trying to force TheOne to play Illidan, right? Because
or Malthael,
unless SPT are about to throw out a Cho'Gall at us right now, in which case they should have really banned Malthael instead of Sonya. But it's like that. Okay, so here is the Malthael. So Malthael versus Leoric is a good matchup for Malthael. But it was almost like they were trying to force him onto Illidan. Just like, okay, we're going to pick a less tanky solo laner. In which case, I still don't know why they didn't ban Malthael. That's the weirdest ban choice, to me at least.
First of all, Hugo has played way more Malthael than Sonya as of late, simply because of how the meta has developed. Also, I think Malthael is the way scarier hero to face when you have a Leoric. And even then... oh, they go for the Chromie now. Interesting. Melody C special. Cool. Let's go.
The Chromie versus no cleanse. Already fantastic here. Lots of slows. They don't have Raynor on their side, so they don't need to worry about that. And Phoenix is banned, so it's probably going to be a temporal loop. Tracer or Medivh? Again, Force of Will for the burst protection.
Yeah, but who's going to play the Medivh for the one? They don't have a dedicated Medivh player. Meng maybe could do it. But they go for the Jaina now. Okay. So a little bit of synergy for the Rainer.
Full Cleanser's comp coming in here. Synergy for the Rainer, but they're going all in on basically everyone protecting themselves. Armor for Rainer will probably come in here. Yeah. This is going to be interesting. This is a risky last pick by the one.
So I like the backline, right? I really do like the Chromie Hanzo for SPT. I think it's going to be exceptionally lethal, especially when Chromie gets a good pick with no cleanse available for the one. But what I'm not really feeling right now is the front line for them, right? I don't think Garrosh and Leoric add a lot of killing potential. And I also think those two warriors are quite susceptible to the Malthael, just kiting them, just healing through the damage they provide. So I'm torn between, you know, on the one hand, really liking SPT's draft. On the other hand, really not digging it, though.
I can see that, but I still think I actually prefer SPT's draft this game, just due to the fact that there's the Chromie. It might just be the one trick for this draft of SPT, but there is actually very little reaction for the one. I am concerned about how they are going to deal with it.
Yeah, I think it's make or break, right, for SPT with that Chromie. If Chromie, Melody C probably playing her, if he's having a good day, right? Landing all these abilities, going for the right temporal loops on the right target, this could be amazing for them. But if a lot of spells are missing, if the Chromie actually gets pressured all the time, this might also backfire quite a bit. But let's actually see, ladies and gentlemen, what the outcome of game number 2 is going to be, whether the one continues to dominate or SPT can equalize it. Hugo for the one here with Malthael, Muggle on that Rainer. Once again, Meng is playing the Jaina, Hihi on the Muradin, and ZJZ playing the Queen, Alex Strasser.
And on the right-hand side, it is going to be Super Perfect Team with Lucky on Hanzo, Melody C on Tracer, Misaka on Garrosh, Soap on the Leoric, and ZZH on Deckard Cain. And no W build for Chromie, not this time.
Whew, already saved. The first step taken to dominating with Chromie. For those of you who are wondering what we're talking about, in the past, we've seen several Chinese teams, one of them, and I think the team that actually picked it first ever in the league, being RPG. They went for a pure W build with full W and Mobius Loop at level 7. Not really dealing loads of damage, but, you know, adding a little bit of AoE, zone control, and wave clear. But Catcher and I both agreed that this is not the build we want to see.
Yeah, it sort of works, but I just prefer the normal build here. Now then, what we have here is Hugo heading up to deal with Soap, and eventually Hugo should be able to win out here, assuming he can dodge the Drain Hope.
Yeah, I think in this game, it's all going to come down to how much pressure can the one build up onto that Chromie, right? There's a Muradin, sure, but Muradin could very well just jump into a time trap. He's the only real frontliner that they have, so it should be relatively easy for SPT to play around that. Malthael could go for a flank, but then there's nothing really adding to it. Which heroic ability do you think we're going to see from Alex Strasser here? Are we going to see the Life Binder, which seems to be very chic and in style, you know, at the moment, or a classic Cleansing Flame?
Interesting question, because we're against a Chromie with Time Trap build, by the way. It's a very interesting question. I think I would personally lean towards the Life Binder, I guess, because that does go through a time stop. So you could accidentally gain synergy there, whereas Cleansing Flame could be denied.
Yeah, Cleansing Flame, I think, would cater to towards a more aggressive playstyle, right? Maybe even putting additional pressure on the Chromie, following the Muradin. But I agree with you. I think Lifebinder is probably the weapon of choice here for ZJZ. Lifebinder, quite frankly, has received such a really beneficial update, right? With that 600 health regen over the 2 seconds until the effect kicks in. So that alone has been the reason why we see so much of Alex Strasser. Beautiful W shot here, by the way, by Chromie, crippling both Meng and ZJZ heavily.
Nice to see. The pressure is added on. This is going to be scary for SPT if they don't deal with this soon. The camp's cleaned up. Leoric left completely unattended as Malthael is chilling in the mid lane for the moment. So Leoric gaining XP for SPT, which is wonderful, but they're still losing camps every single time, basically.
Yeah, the Malthael rotating in the middle already means, of course, that SPT was in no circumstance and no condition to actually contest this mercenary camp from being taken, right? Because Malthael would have been there before Leoric. So now with Hugo being back here, he makes sure to miss only 1 or 2 minions in the top lane. And the soak continues. The soak is stable for the one. So overall, not really much lost for them on this end.
Soap hangs around, waits for his opportunity. Chromie going for that Dragon's Eye. Hurrah! Extra damage, of course, to the center of the Dragon Breath here.
Finally. Thank God. I thought we would never see this talent in China again.
Even with the no time trap slows as well, it's a reset build, but without risking the slows, you're still maximizing your damage output. This is fine.
Exactly. Speaking of progress here and how teams approach this shrine, we see 15-12 currently in favor of TheOne. They're fully committed, almost fully committed actually, because Jaina is still in the middle. So it's a 4 versus 5 for the most part. They do, of course, have the Dragon Queen available. And speaking of it, I think we summoned it, and here it goes. Jaina needs to reinforce the lines, though. Meng coming in with a cheeky flank. Needs to be careful, though, because very quickly can he regret his aggressive positioning against heroes like Garrosh.
Jaina not known for her flanking abilities, but it can happen. But just the fact that Jaina was not showing on the map and the fact that there was already 35 available for TheOne is enough to force SPT to back up. First objective goes over to TheOne here.
Really well done. It takes a lot of discipline to basically sustain through a 4 versus 5 the entire duration, but also SPT here with the patience, not really getting overzealous and trying to make something happen they might regret later. He actually casually just blocking that Sand Blast from Chromie. And now, let's see if they're going to follow it up here on the Garrosh. The Indomitable gets popped immediately.
Able to tank through, but now lots of frost points here coming in from that Punisher. Front wall goes down. 4 survives. That's a big deal for SPT. Allow them to make a turnaround a little bit later as Meng gets a little bit drained, but he can kite and turn around, drop some damage onto Soap, who pops the Ossian Renewal.
Doesn't have his Wraithwalk now, does he? I think he used it aggressively on the Jaina. Reduced healing is coming in, and Soap might have actually regretted his aggression onto the Jaina. Never mind, it comes back off cooldown. Beautifully done.
Potion's good, yo. Able to keep him alive just in case, and that Wraithwalk got him out of the danger zone. As Lucky was doing this camp, has run out of hit points. Couldn't get the good angle for those multi-shots and doesn't have the extra mercenary damage, so loses that camp and is forced to back up.
Yeah, and that back up process is actually quite crippling now for SPT, because without Hanzo, they don't really seem to have enough manpower to really stop this from happening, right? Meng, with that Blizzard, providing additional vision for the mercenary camp, and damage, of course, as well. And once again, we see these funky, sexy middle fountain snipes here. I like it. With
that fountain down, next objective is, of course, because this is the planning here, in mid lane. Fantastic. So TheOne is going to be in a much better position for that. They can even go grab their own Impalers now and actually put some pressure onto this front wall. For if they win the Punisher, they can then use it to push in aggressively.
Up to this point, no hero kill actually happening, Tetra. What is going on? Are we casting China here, or what's happening? Because we're not used to this much patience and discipline on Chinese teams. We're used to seeing all-in mercenary brawls and you know, a lot of action in those team fights. But in my opinion, whenever we see games like these, where not a lot of action is happening in terms of hero kills, it speaks for China. You know, adapting a little bit, shying away from this super aggressive team fight heavy style, which hasn't really worked for them in quite some time.
Knock up onto Hehe, but he jumps through pre-abundance. Jada gets Chromie here and dropped down by Misaka. Misaka gets dropped very low. Hugo going to force him to back up. Camp was still taken, so it's a kill for a camp. And as such, both teams are about to hit level 10.
And I was going to say, the real main victory in this point, in my opinion, was not necessarily the kill on Jaina, but most importantly, the early bait onto the Dragon Queen, because I think the Shrine in the middle is going to activate relatively quickly, relatively soon from now, and that means that Dragon Queen for the first half maybe is definitely not going to be available. So big win for SPT, big swing of momentum.
Hugo tanks through a little bit of soap damage from those swings, from those mace hits. Hehe, though, in position. They're going to try and gank Soap, but Wraithwalk just too fast here. But now with both teams with level 10, Muradin holding his, but it should be Avatar. There we go. But Chromie, this is the real story here. Went with the slowing at Sands. Go for the zoning tool. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I think Reina especially is potentially quite vulnerable to that temporal before he starts getting those Behemoth stacks, which can give you a little bit of a lead.
I mean, later on, you know, Jaina's going to have an Ice Block available. Hugo still have Self-Healing available as well. So I'm kind of okay, you know, with that slowing sense. But I agree with you. I much rather would have preferred the Temporal Loop. Also, Cleansing Flame coming in for Alex Strasser, so no single target protection now. Instead, going for the good old Cleansing Flame with AoE damage and healing. Speaking of healing reduction, a nice Emerald hitting onto Raynor. And look at this domination. Look at this strong position now, thanks to the slowing sands by SPT, 25-10. And the one they realized, you know what? We're not going to fight into this, right? We don't want to march through this slowing sand. We're going to try to take value elsewhere.
They back up. They decide that elsewhere is where they wish to be. They're going to soak XP away, or as far away from SPT as possible. Let SPT get that 39. Now SPT, what value can they get using the 39 point? Maybe Hugo can force Soap to take it early. But the fact is, SPT are actually losing value with this delay, unless they can get this kill. They're trying to focus on Muradin, but Muradin tanks through here. Good cube. There's the root. Will that be enough? Alex grabs a healing. Avatar's popped, and he survives, even dodging the Chromie damage. But the fact is, them delaying this camp, they didn't get Muradin. They just let Meng clean top. There was a Fallen Shaman camp pushing there. They could have just got the double push out.
I agree, and I think they really invested many resources into maybe getting that kill, you know, onto Muradin. But he, calm and cool and collected as he is, didn't even break a sweat to maybe get this early Avatar going. But speaking of he once again in a lot of trouble. Dragon Queen is back on cooldown. Takes damage from the Punisher, though. They need to be careful. The one that is.
Yeah. Those Arcane Sentinels can be a horrible amount of damage if you're not careful. As we see he eating a fair amount of damage. Malthael from behind. Cleansing Flame with the Tormented Souls. Now time. It is delayed. Cleansing Flame does a lot of damage though. Leoric is dropped and taken out here. Wraithwalk, his body was still too close to Malthael and he got dropped. Punisher was cleared up. Midfort survives and the Leoric kill is achieved.
Wow, not only do they save all the structures, but they had a beautiful turnaround with that Cleansing Flame Malthael combo. And that's actually something that we've seen many times in the past already by TheOne. You know, protecting Hugo when he goes for that backline flank. Speaking of Hugo, though, he was busy taking the mercenary camp on the left-hand side. So TheOne can't have it all, and they're going to have to give this one over to their opponents, to SPT. But that was a really good coordination. Like, you could really see how HGC was just waiting for Hugo to go in, and only then did he drop the Cleansing Flame when it was really needed.
So we see Soap once again. He's back. He's Leoric. He revives very, very quickly. And we're still technically at quite early stages of the game time-wise. So respawn timers are still pretty low as is. As both teams once again calm down. 2 kills total in this entire game so far.
Yeah, it's a high focus, high concentration game, right? None of the teams is willing to make, you know, reckless mistakes here. TheOne is trying to posture up, you know, to not fall behind with that gap in experience that they were able to establish. SPT, though, they're lurking. With 13 available themselves now, they're maybe trying to set something up. We already see the Ancient Blessings coming in for Decker Kane, empowering the auto-attack damage from heroes like Hanzo, but most importantly, providing additional self-sustain, which is going to be so important against that AoE damage coming in from Malthael.
Now then, Soap takes a little bit more damage, needs to be careful. Jaina still bursts, has to Wraithwalk away. In the meantime, speaking of people who still burst, Meng takes a little bit of a Chromie Dragon Breath, but is healed very quickly by ZJZ, who is once again just collecting flowers, making it so that he doesn't burn through a lot of health.
Oh, a flower!
Wrong hit, wrong support, friend.
They should have given Lydia flower talent as well. It would have only been fair.
Yeah, that would have been nice. Your next queue is free if you picked up the flower. Could have been good.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, TheOne. Not really a whole lot of happening, you know, right now. Both teams are just trying to not lose map control. Only one structure has fallen up to this point, mostly because of the relatively, you know, unspectacular scaling of the Immortals. But I think at the very latest, with that next Immortal Punisher coming live, I think that is where the winning team of this objective is going to seriously turn on the heat.
So now, cleans out the minions in mid lane. Wants to apply pressure as that fort is already weakened. But the quick rotations, mouth stopped working for a second there. From TheOne, cleans out the lane, so there's no danger there immediately. And we're even going to see Malthael push up that top lane. Doesn't want to push it too far, because if he does, his Fallen Shaman camp will die under towers, and the enemies will remain and push.
Yeah, in terms of like overall progress, you know, in that top lane, the top lane for TheOne is looking a little healthier here, and Hugo is making sure that it stays that way. It remains to be seen whether TheOne is actually trying to commit to this shrine at all before obtaining level 16, which is going to happen now at any given moment here. They do have the Dragon Queen. Early engaged, though, onto the Jaina. She is getting popped immediately. It's the Brainer.
Down goes Raider as they move forward. Malthael, though, in the backline. Looking for that counter kill. The time traps are good. Cleansing Flame looking to snipe Dragon for Dragon. The Dragon dives and gets the kill with the auto attack of Alexstrasza. They push forward. Misaka gets wrecked. ZZH focused down. Meng with that piercing frostbolt gets it through the fountain. Soap is down. Lucky the survivor. He will escape, makes it back to his gate, but that was brutal. The Dragon killing the Dragon. Great move by ZJZ, and that was a lovely snowball by SPT, even in a 4 versus 5.
And the Rat Dragon reigns supreme over the Bronze Dragon up to this point. What a duel here. Beautifully done, especially by ZJZ, man, with a cleansing flame assault into the backline, calculating that with the superior range and damage of that Dragon Queen basic attack, it would be enough damage to take down the Chromie without exposing himself, you know, to that fort, to the enemy heroes, because the entire team line of SPT was in complete disarray and trying to get out to safety as quickly as possible.
And that was all set up by Malthael's Tormented Souls into the backline, dropping an insane amount of damage, setting up for that dive and chase. Beautiful to see, as we do now see TheOne moving in with 16 advantage. Not for long. SPT will have that soon with these minion waves that's arriving. Dragon Arrow. They're going to try and once again blow up a hero before the fight happens. And they do. They get the Malthael, but this time they are getting punished for it. Misaka and Soap will get cleansed. One goes down.
We're going to see a snap on the Leoric.
Getting hit by Alexstrasza, but no, Leoric tanking too much. Alexstrasza re-arrives.
ZJZ is back in the mix here to support his allies in need. Here comes the stun chain onto Leoric. Soap taking a couple hits from that Punisher as well, but escapes to safety yet again. But still, without the main tank, without Garrosh, how can they hope to hold this keep? The Punisher is still mighty, pouncing on it. Look at Hehe with the Dwarf launch as well. Superior range. He's keeping them occupied and busy all over the place. And finally, the PvE damage combined with that Punisher, the Mercenaries and the Minions, they take down Leoric.
We see with that Leoric finally taken down. Longer than they expected, because they were trying to snipe it with the Alexstrasza, as we did see. TheOne, they grabbed the first keep of the game. They did lose mid-fort. Finally, the minion wave was able to push that down pretty effectively as they move in and just grab Impaler after Impaler. And this is going to put the SPT on the back foot with 20 on the way. SPT would love to find a fight in advance, but they've got stuff to clean up now.
And we can't even blame SPT for those engages, right? They're actually playing this pretty well up to the point in which they maybe blow too many abilities, too many cooldowns onto getting a single target, and then losing members in the process, just like Soap, who's trying the best he can to actually sustain through with a great march of the Black King. But here goes the counter damage, and Leoric, the skeleton, is no more.
Taunt onto Malthael, not enough though. They still have to pull back as Misaka realized everyone was closing in on him. Chromie damage, still pretty good though, but it's not enough. Right now, TheOne, they're holding the line. They're able to push through and they managed to grab another fort here.
Alright, the fort is under pressure. I think SPT is running out of structure slowly but surely. The bottom keep had already been destroyed. Garrosh, he just can't seem to find an opening. It's always Leoric, actually, that goes in for the aggressive plays. And look at Hehe, man, with superior jump power on those tiny dwarven legs. He is always, you know, putting up so much threat, so much pressure onto the backline. And Tetra, remember what I said earlier during the draft? I like the backline for SPT, but the front line, that is what I'm really worried about here.
I agree with you. I agree with you indeed, as Misaka, the front line, though, gets in trouble, but tanks through. Once again, that anti-healing, though, from Malthael was scary. The Siege in Hyperion coming in here from Reina as they take down the front wall.
Light him up, Matt. Speaking of lighting people up, holy jeez, Meng needs to be careful and needs to receive some healing treatment from ZJZ before they continue this pressure. But once again, the tower line has been destroyed for SPT in the middle now as well. The keep took a little bit of extra damage there as well. And time is running against SPT. 20 is here. They're not even 18 yet. They're running out of structures. They need to somehow survive.
It's Meng going to start his team's Fallen Shaman camp. Muradin and Reina are on the way, so he won't burn too much health. And of course, it's Jaina has a lot of burst damage, already taken out the dogs. It's all about that actual Shaman now. And ZJZ's in position. We'll even grab the flower. And everything is taken with minimal health loss. A little bit of mana, but that's picked up by the globe. And she has extra mana regen thanks to the level 1 talent anyway.
Exactly. As a Jaina, you can splurge on those minions. Normally, it doesn't really matter too much, especially when your Fingers of Frost at level 1 is completed already. Muradin, now the focus target, walks into a time trap. The healing gets reduced already by that Emerald Cube. But Hehe, man, He doesn't even care about it. He knows exactly I am tanky as hell, and I'm not even afraid to show it. Not even going to use my avatar.
Yep, he seems pretty comfortable waiting this out. Now his team begin to move in. Malthael not here yet. There's still a Impaler camp and Catapults beginning to group up. Muradin finds a time trap, eats a full Chromie combo, but he's Muradin as they just charge through and pick up Garrosh. Tormented Souls, once again, shut down by the time trap as ZJZ is getting killed off by the Cleansing Flame. He picks up the kill. Good stun onto the Hanzo as well. They want to pick him off, dodging the Drain. Hope, here comes the March of the Black King. Decent turnaround, but Soap will now fall.
Tetra, this is just absolute masterclass tank play here by Hehe. Not only does he get the lockdowns when he wants them to happen, but also, as you said, these mini side steps, you know, dodging the Leoric Drain Hope, those are the tiny details that save time, that save health on the frontliner. And with 3 people still being dead, 25 seconds until Decker Kane arrives, not even the Chromie Burst is going to be able to keep the one at bay here. Are they going to take the middle keep, or are they going straight for the core? I don't think it even matters. They're probably going to get both.
They actually have a Punisher on the way. I said they might even wait for that as the Catapult. Yeah, they just go on the core. Just go on the core at this point. The Fallen Shaman has been cleared up, though. Hanzo finished that off in the top lane, so they at least don't have to worry about that. But it looks like the one are going to do the slow play here. They're going to get the Punisher and then take the core.
Exactly. I mean, sure, they probably could have gotten away with focusing down the core, but hey, when you're playing in the grand final of the playoffs, that is basically going to determine your seed for the Eastern Clash, you might as well just play it safe. And this is probably the 100% win play. With an Arcane Punisher, the most lethal one in the game when it comes to taking down structures, they are going to march down. And the only way for SPT to maybe hold this is baiting the Punisher up to the last remaining keep on the top lane. That they did. Already nicely done.
Big damage onto Muggle, but he's tanking through it, turns around, gets out of the way of the March of the Black King as Soap goes down. The Punisher was distracted at least a little bit, but it's still pretty healthy as the core is beginning to drop. Cleansing Flame comes in as Muradin gets absolutely juggled here. But in the meantime, Muggle is just burning down the core. He's pretty low, actually, but so is the core. That's gonna be GG as the One take game number 2 and go up 2-0.
All right, match point coming in that next game here in favor of the One, and you can really see the happy, smiling faces, and well deserved, and rightfully so, because that game from start to finish looked like an absolute masterclass. And normally we have a little bit of a hard time, you know, deciding who played best and who deserves the MVP vote, but I personally do have my MVP already, and that is ZJZ on that mighty, mighty, scary-looking Alexstrasza.
I would agree. I think that snipe on the Cleansing Flame was gorgeous. I think his positioning was good. His healing was on point every single time. No complaints. Completely agree with you. ZJZ deserves that MVP. And otherwise, the One, they are looking super impressive today. This is what we expected heading into this. Well, what me and Kendrick expected. Our Chinese colleagues voted for SPT. The fools! Did he even cast this region? No, they after SPT's performance, they have been the best team for years running, and they have always shown up on the last day. But this time, the One are looking so solid. I do not threat them for not threat them. I do not fault them for making that call onto SPT. But the One, they're just too good at the moment.
I mean, there's a reason this team is still undefeated, right? All they did in this ongoing phase was drop a 1-1 every now and then, but they haven't lost a single game 0-2, and that alone speaks, you know, for the individual class, for the synergy, the team synergy that they've got going on right now. It's just a pleasure to watch them, and we keep calling them the most Korean team of the Chinese teams available for a reason. And if they continue, you know, this high peak performance, if they show consistency right now, I'm starting to get a little worried for SPT because they tried really hard, you know, trying to branch out a little bit, go for exotic picks in China like the Chromie. Didn't work out though, man. Raynor is still too good, and Jane on top of that, such good synergy.
I don't know why they didn't Temporal Loop, honestly. I think Temporal Loop would have been good. In Tomb, I think those two together would have probably been a good thing. I mean, the Master Black King got some value. I'm okay with that one, but I don't know. I think I would have leaned towards the Temporal Loop considering the lack of anything, any way to deal with that at all. Especially when Behemoth Armor was locked in for Raynor.
I also don't really like the playstyle synergy of Garrosh plus Leoric. I always feel like if Leoric doesn't have this hyper-mobile engaging warrior next to him, then he's not really going to be able to follow up on the plays. He normally can't be the warrior who makes those plays happen in the first place, right? We saw that 2 or 3 times attempted by Soap, but he got focused down every single time. And Garrosh, he was still busy catching up. You know, he doesn't have those fancy jumps. charges, whatever else the other warriors have available. But Diablo, I think, was banned out. Murden was taken away. So it was really hard for them to actually find this warrior that works so well with that Leoric.
That's true. And as such, with that on the board, SPT